everyone. I was just trying to get my puppy to settle. I'm Christine Chappell. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Top 5 Friday. I have Miss Clarabelle, the sheepadoodle, here with me. Again, this morning I was getting ready for this broadcast. I left her unsupervised and she chewed up a sweater, like my favorite black sweater. I don't even know where she got it from. So I have to have her in here with me during this broadcast. Hopefully she will behave. But I'm really excited that you have joined me today for this episode of Top 5 Friday, talking about my favorite Christian books on the subject of anxiety and fear. A little message from me right there that I was showing during the countdown timer. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. We have had people tune into the show as far as Ukraine, which was crazy to me. Actually, I forget who it was who was joining me, but she won our very first book giveaway. And so that was really neat to see someone from so far away connect. So I'd love for you to comment. In fact, to let you know about the book giveaway we're doing in this episode, commenting and engaging through the comment box here on the video is the best way. In fact, it's your only way to get entered into the book giveaway. So how the giveaway works is the more you engage and comment in this broadcast, then I'm going to go back and check and see who commented the most. Whoever comments the most is the one who gets to win the giveaway. But here's what's new about this week's giveaway is that I'm giving away 2 books, not just one. And so I'm really excited about that. I have one book here already with me. Oh, I better not show it or else I'll get ahead of myself. But we are giving away 2 books, which I haven't decided yet. It depends on how much engagement we get. Either I'll give the 2 books to one winner or I'll break it up and give it to 2 different winners. So we'll see how that goes. And I want to thank our sponsor from last week's giveaway, Crossway. It's someone who chose to get a copy of Mark Rogup's book, Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy, Discovering the Grace of Lament, and was really excited to be able to give that to her and to thank her for her engagement in the broadcast. Oh, there she goes. You do not get a book, Clarabelle. I'm sorry about that. Why don't we let her calm down and show your comments? So we have Jennifer is joining from Mission Viejo. Hey, Jennifer, actually, I used to live in Temecula, just on the border of Riverside County and San Diego County. So welcome from California. That used to be where I frequented. I actually even got married in Dana Point there, not too far from where you are at. And then Dawn is from Dayton, Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dawn. I really appreciate you being here. I think both of you guys, I haven't seen your names before, so you must be new to this broadcast. And Stephanie is saying hello from Michigan. So isn't that so much fun to see where everyone is chiming in from? If you jump on this conversation, even as we go, share where you're from. Also share your feedback. Now, these are my favorite top 5 books that I like to recommend on the subject of fear and anxiety, but they're not the only ones. In fact, I'm probably going to very sneakily probably slip in a few more recommendations unofficially because it's really hard to narrow it down to just 5. But I had to do it because it's Top 5 Friday. So let's see. The last thing I'll say before we get started is that this particular episode of Top 5 Friday also includes a free download. And you may have seen me mention that a few times on social media as I was preparing for this broadcast. And the download is called Engaging Anxious Thoughts Through Journaling, 21 Prompts to Pause Worry Ticker Tapes. And doesn't our anxiety oftentimes feel or manifest itself in just those racing thoughts of this ticker tape? Even last night, I found myself having to talk back to that ticker tape and say, no, we're not doing this. It's bedtime. So Holy Spirit, you are in there. Help me to wrestle these anxious thoughts and put them to sleep so I can get some rest. And so I created that particular download for you so that you can practice taking thoughts captive, or even just engaging and exploring what they may be trying to tell you as you're maybe not right there when you're in bed, but whenever you have a moment to pause and reflect. So that download, I will tell you how to get it at the end of the broadcast. And Ruth is joining us. Ruth was here last week. Hello from North Carolina, Ruth. You are my northern neighbor. I am in South Carolina, and so Ruth, we're not too far away. And welcome back to today's broadcast. I think I've pretty much covered all the bases. So as a reminder, the more you comment and engage, give feedback, let me know if you've read the books I'm sharing, what you liked about them, if you found them helpful. Also, feel free to share your recommendations because there are other viewers watching who are looking for resources. And so this is what this conversation is for, is sharing helpful, gospel-centered, Christian resources that help us to engage and learn more about anxiety and fear from a biblical perspective. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead. You see Clarabelle right over there. Hopefully she doesn't bark anymore. So let's go ahead and get started with our very first recommendation. So this may not have been on your radar, but I'm going to explain why I recommend it. This is Trusting God by Jerry Bridges. And in fact, the book that I have, I don't tangibly have it because we had a house fire a few months ago, and all of my books are taken away, with the exception of a few that I have here that I've received recently. But the older version of this book, it just got a brand new cover. There was a subtitle, and I love the subtitle. It's Trusting God Even When Life Hurts. And I don't know why they took it off, but I really liked that subtitle, and so that's why I wanted to share it with you. And Stephanie says that she has this book, but she has yet to read it. So this is my encouragement for you to spend some time in checking out this resource from Jerry Bridges. There are a few different reasons why I like this book. Just for me personally, it was very influential in terms of addressing really difficult questions. Okay, so this book is not light reading. And as we go through today's broadcast, there are some more that I would recommend. And so I'm going to tell you when I recommend you go through these, because I think it's always compassionate to consider timing and where someone is at, or where you are even at in your battle against fear and anxiety. And so I would not recommend this particular one if you are really, really, really having a lot of trouble, like it's, to the point where you can't even function. This is not necessarily the book you want to dive into, simply because it's thick and it's not light reading. So, however, I think it is one of the more foundational books that you can read that gets you rooted and grounded in the fact, right? These are facts that God is good, wise, and sovereign overall, including the nations, including the details of your life, including nature. Okay, and so he really goes into those three particular categories, and he interacts. And this book actually came out of his own experience of wrestling with really hard questions. One of the excerpts from the back of the book says, as you explore the scope of God's power over nations, nature, and your life, you'll find yourself trusting him more completely, even when life hurts. He tackles questions like, why is God allowing this to happen? What have I done wrong to bring this upon myself? And so it was really heavy stuff. That's why I don't necessarily recommend you jump right into it if you're in the middle of a really difficult situation. However, I have even had friends who are walking through loved ones having cancer, where this book really ministered to them and rooted them in the fact that God is good, wise, and sovereign in all things, even when life hurts. So I want to recommend this to you. Ruth wants to also recommend it to you. Ruth says that she gave the book to a friend a couple of years ago. I think that that's great. And then Mary is here. Oh, I'm so excited. I was wondering if you were going to join us today, Mary. So I'm really thankful that you have joined us. And also, if you are new to Top 5 Friday, then you don't know that as I go along, I share these links. So all of the resources I'm copying and pasting right now into the comment section to make it easy for you. So if you want to get a copy of this book, I've just put the link in the comments, and you can get a copy of the book for yourself or for someone else. And then also, I don't have any additional resources for this. I've never interviewed Jerry Bridges on this topic, so I don't have a podcast to link to, but other recommendations. I do have other places to send you to for free resources. Obviously, books cost money, but if you're looking for free resources that are related to the books that I'm sharing, I have some to share with you today. And so that's exciting stuff. So that's my first recommendation. If you're just tuning in, thank you for joining me. if you want to get in on the book giveaway, you're going to have to engage. You're going to have to comment. So the best way to do that is to give feedback on the books I'm sharing, or to ask questions, to leave comments. And the person who leaves the most comments and engages the most during the video, I may pick 2 winners this week because I have 2 books to give away, but at least one person will get, well, 2 people will get 1 book, or 1 person will get 2 books. I don't know yet. It'll be a last minute decision. And Dawn says, a very clear presentation by one of my favorite Christian authors. My copy has so many pages highlighted. Absolutely. I wish I had my book. I wish I had my book to touch and go back and read all the parts that I've underlined, especially even as I'm in my own process of writing a book right now. And I feel like I don't have all my book friends with me to support me as I'm trying to put a book together. But you're absolutely right, Dawn. There is so much rich information here that Jerry shares in this title. And so I'm really thankful for the opportunity to share it, but then also thankful for you guys commenting. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. And this may also be a surprise to you, right? I'm sharing a couple. This one is, I think this is the newest. I think this is the newest release out of everything I'll be sharing with you today. This is called A Holy Fear, Trading Lesser Fears for Fear of the Lord by Christina Fox. And I actually want to congratulate Christina, because she is the first female author that I have recommended on Top 5 Fridays. So I think that deserves another round of applause. I really like this particular book. I actually did just interview her for the Hope and Help podcast. For those of you who do not know, I am host of the IBCD, which stands for the Institute for Biblical Counseling and Discipleship. I host their podcast. It's called the Hope and Help podcast, where we have biblical conversations about life's challenging problems. And I did recently interview Christina. In fact, the publisher sent me 2 copies of her book. I think it might have been an accident, but I'm going to make lemonade from lemons, right? And so I have an extra copy that I want to share with you. So one of the winners will get this book. I'll send it to them personally. And so this particular book is, I love one quote. She says, she recognizes that fears about the future and illness or what others might think about us can rule our hearts and steal our joy. So in this book, she is she is helping us to explore what is fear of the Lord, right? And because when we think of it, we might think of, scared of what he might, I've heard people say, if I do this, I'll get struck down by lightning, or, this is that being afraid in terms of that we'll be punished or hurt, or that he will smite us or squish us, which he has the power to do. But we know in Christ, that's not how we regard fear of the Lord, that it's more of a reverence and an awe. And so she takes and explores the concept of fear of the Lord from what the scriptures have to say, and then helps us to figure out how does that help us, or how does that inform the way that we respond to the very real fears that we face in this world, right? Because it's not that there are no other fears, but she's making the case that they're lesser than the fear of the Lord. And so I thought it to be very rich, extremely rooted in the scriptures. She gives examples of fear in the Bible and uncovers God's promises to the fearful. So I'm not doing it all justice right now of how much richness is in this particular book, but I do want to put it on your radar, because especially in counseling context, right? If you are in one another care, it is always important to help the people that we're counseling. I think George Scipione has a message that we'll be sharing on IBCD's Summer Institute, where he teaches that fear of the Lord is the beginning of counseling, right? And the scriptures even tell us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So it's very important, super helpful, and I commend this title to you. What I'm going to do is, again, copy and paste the link here. I'm going to stop and check out the comments. Jennifer says that she has enjoyed reading articles from Christina. Oh, and I'm excited she has a book. Okay, Jennifer, Christina's got lots of books. lots of books. In fact, I did interview her for the first time on my podcast on her book called Sufficient Hope. I want to say Gospel Meditations. Oh, I don't remember what it's called, but it's on my podcast. In fact, I probably should go pull it up for you guys. It's not on this particular topic, but I think that it may be helpful. So let me go ahead and just type that in. Christine Chappell, Christina Fox. I'm doing this on the fly, but I want to get you guys, oh, that's right. I want to get you guys equipped with free resources if I can. So let me copy and paste this. This is the book that she wrote is Sufficient Hope, Gospel Meditations and Prayers for Moms. That's not her only book. She's written other ones. You can go to her website. The link is on this page I'm about to share, and you can find out all of the different books that she's written. But this particular podcast episode was Hope and Help for Weary Moms with Christina Fox. And so you can take a look at the comments, and that will be there for you to listen to. I want to welcome Brittany from Minnesota. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Minnesota. Boy, we have California, Ohio, North Carolina, Minnesota, and there was someone else all over the place, even a close neighbor of mine, Mary, is watching. And then we have Lucy, and I'm so glad that Lucy is joining us because I'm going to be sharing about one of her books very shortly, and so you're going to want to hang on to that. That's the very last one, so I'm gonna make you wait on Lucy's book. But thank you for joining us, Lucy. And so yeah, that's my second recommendation. So if you're just tuning in, you still have a chance, okay? You still have a chance to participate in the book giveaway, but you've got to start commenting and catching up to the others, because whoever leaves the most comments is going to win either 2 books, or I'm going to pick 2 winners, and then each of those winners will get 1 book. So I have 2 to give away. So I'm not sure how I'm going to structure it yet. We'll see how much you guys engage during the conversation. So as a reminder, Trusting God by Jerry Bridges was the first recommendation. Christina Fox's Holy Fear. These 2 particular books, not light reading. Okay, these are, I would put them as foundational. We're looking to be rooted, really rooted in our knowledge and even in our fear of the Lord, in order to then go forth and try to pick apart anxiety, really, from a biblical perspective. And so, timing is important on when you recommend these things, but I just wanted to put them out there because I think that they're helpful. And Lucy is from Alabama. Boy, I think we're up to like 5 or 6 states now, so that's really awesome. Thank you, Lucy, for sharing that. Let's go ahead to the next recommendation, if my buttons will work. Okay, what I'm going to do now is get you introduced to 2 devotionals. I have 2 devotionals. So I just gave you 2 recommendations for some meaty, substantial reading. Not that it's going to take you forever, but it's something that you're going to want to chew and process and probably underline a lot. And so this is a devotional that is put out by P&R Publishing, part of their 31-day devotional series. And this one's called Anxiety, Knowing God's Peace by Paul Touches. And I did interview Paul on my podcast. And you just ordered this from the amazing podcast. Awesome. Are you talking about my podcast interview? I hope so. But that's okay if not. Just that you got it is great. But yeah, if you listen to Paul's appearance on my show, that would be really encouraging to hear. Stephanie says she just listened and ordered today. And she says, yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and link to the book right now before I forget. So let me link to the book. It's in the comments there for you. And then also a link to my discussion on the Hope and Help podcast. And so the title for that appearance was Hope and Help for Anxious Hearts with Paul Touches. And I recorded that conversation before my podcast came over to IBCD's ministry. So you'll notice, maybe if you are a regular listener, you will notice that the music and some of the stuff is different, but the whole format of the show is still the same. And so this is a 31-day devotional. The devotionals are really short, and I don't have a copy physical of Paul's, but I do have a copy of this one that recently came out to show you just kind of what it is. And this is a painful path. Well, I am recommending this one, but not on this show. Okay. But actually I have an interview coming out on this topic too. So why don't I just say, I'll put this on your radar. Okay. So this one is a painful past, healing and moving forward. And as you go and explore through some of these resources, it's not uncommon that some of our anxiety, right, can actually even be rooted in past events. And so I won't get on my soapbox for this book, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like. This is a really helpful resource, but not part of today's top 5 because it's not part of this particular topic. But Paul, it's thin. This is a devotional. So when you are working through with Paul, you have one page, a front and a back. Oh, you can't really see it because of the light, but they're quick to read. They include reflection questions or meditations at the end. I love that Paul is writing from his own experience. And in fact, that's pretty much the case for all of these resources, is that you are hearing from people who have actually wrestled with anxiety, and sometimes in really significant ways. And so they're writing as friends. They're writing as people who have been there and they know and they can relate and say, yeah, me too. This was really hard, but this is how God helped me. And this is how the scriptures gave me wisdom and counsel to work through these various anxieties that I am going through. And so Mary says, I love the podcast. Clarabelle is trying to break out of the door. And so Jennifer said she listened to this interview. So again, if you want to listen to Hope and Help for Anxious Hearts with Paul Touches, the link is in the comments. And the title for this one, okay, Jennifer, even though it's not part of the official Top 5 Friday recommendations, it is part of the same PNR 31-day devotional series. This one is called A Painful Past, Healing and Moving Forward by Lauren Whitman. Okay. Again, not part of the official production, but I will share it with you and let you know that I did interview Lauren, and that episode is coming out in, I don't remember exactly, in a couple months or something. And so, yeah, you're definitely welcome to check it out. Stephanie, that's the best when someone has gone through it. God's comforts us so that we can comfort others. And straight from 2 Corinthians 1, I believe, about that. And so you're absolutely right. And Lucy likes Clarabelle. So I like her too, but not when she barks during my live broadcast or chews up my favorite black sweaters, because I honestly know I'm going to have to get another one, and that's not cool. And Dawn says she's so grateful for people who are willing to be vulnerable and share what they have struggled with and what God has taught them. Absolutely. And then Jennifer's laughing. So thank you guys for sharing your comments. I did, before I move on to the next recommendation, I want to just read this quote from Paul's book. I think it's really helpful. And another part of Paul's devotional, and also a couple of the other ones I'm going to share, is that they do acknowledge the physical components of our experiences of anxiety. And Paul writes, one thing is clear, that we are always made up of body and soul together, always. Regardless of what physical elements may contribute to our anxiety, every mental or emotional struggle we experience is also an opportunity to develop our faith. Our souls are always in need of the Spirit's ministry of grace and truth through the Word. Boom. I love that. I think that he's on point with that. And so you will find encouragement in this devotional. This is something I would recommend to someone who is really having a hard time with anxiety. Maybe they are having panic attacks, or they are to the point where they've stopped doing particular things in life, even just daily tasks, because it has been so debilitating for them. I think that this devotional and the one I'm going to recommend next will meet that person where they're at, with very gentle, compassionate, graceful help and reflection. So definitely want to check that out. And then Ruth says, we all need dogs and live broadcast. When I have the ability to upgrade more equipment, I can do this broadcast stuff that I do. I have the ability to bring in another camera, and actually I could do a doggy cam and have a little camera of watching Clarabelle, and I can show you guys what she's doing while I'm doing because I think she's chewing on a blanket right now. But anyway, yeah, so we could probably work her into that. Oh, but Ruth says, Lucy, also cats are welcome. I don't have any cats anymore, although I did used to have cats, but I don't have any to share with you today. So those are my recommendations up to this point. Now, if you're just joining us, my name is Christine Chappell. You have probably maybe 20 minutes to catch up on the book giveaway. If you are interested, you have to participate, comment, engage, give feedback, and the person who engages the most during this live broadcast will win the book. And also, if you're here tuning in for the free worksheet download that I have created for you, I will tell you how you can get a hold of that very shortly. So stay tuned. So we have recommended so far, just to recap, Trusting God by Jerry Bridges, Holy Fear by Christina Fox, and Anxiety, Knowing God's Peace by Paul Touches. And all of those links are in the comments, so you can go back and get them. Okay, so we will move on to the next one. And this one may look familiar for some of you, and also the author. This is called A Small Book for the Anxious Heart, Meditations on Fear, Worry, and Trust. And this is by Ed Welch. If you are not familiar with Ed Welch or his books or his ministry at the Christian Counseling and Educational Foundation, also known as CCEF, I would strongly recommend that you get connected with his resources, because they are incredible and have ministered so deeply to me. Now, this particular book is another devotional. This devotional, whereas the other one has 31 days, this one has 50 days. I would say they're even shorter than what I just showed you, because the book is probably half the size. So it's smaller. So more devotions, but shorter devotions, and two very simple yet helpful reflection questions or prompts at the end of each day's devotion. And so let me go ahead and copy and paste that link for you here. Has anybody read this particular devotional? I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Have you heard of it before? Has it been on your radar, or are you just now hearing of it? I don't have an interview with Ed Welch. Boy, that would be like pretty crazy for me to be able to interview him. That's kind of like my dream when I grow up, is to be able to interview Ed Welch. So maybe sometime in the future, Lord willing. But I don't have an interview to share, but I do have this free resource from IBCD that there are a number of messages that Ed has presented at IBCD conferences, and one of my favorites has to do with the topic we're talking about today, and it's called Beautiful Words for Fearful People. Okay, that's a free resource you can listen to after this broadcast. It's available on the IBCD website. I just put it in the comments. Beautiful Words for Fearful People by Ed Welch. And once you hear Ed talk, you'll know that this is a guy that is going to speak in a way that I need to hear. He has a wonderful manner about him, but also he writes out of his own struggles with anxiety for a number of years. And he actually, this is where I referenced earlier that I might have like some additional recommendations to share that aren't officially part of Top 5 Friday. But if you do search Ed Welch on Amazon or wherever you get books, you will find, okay, these are like extras, okay? And I haven't read all of them, but I'm just recommending that maybe you check it out. He has a book called, what's it called? When I Am Afraid, I think it's called. And then he has another one, Running Scared. When I Am Afraid and Running Scared. If you just search Ed Welch, you'll see that he's got two other bigger books on the topic of fear and anxiety, fear of man, or just fear and anxiety in general. And this particular devotional is like bite-sized pieces of his bigger works. And so I want to recommend it to you. Again, this would be something really great to get for someone who is in a season of fear and worry and uncertainty, fear of the future, whatever it might be. It's small enough and to meet them where they're at and not overwhelm them. And so I would recommend that to you. He says that usually, this is a quote from the book, usually when we are anxious, we would prefer to sprint to a magical answer, yet our worries are best engaged at a more deliberate pace. I just love this guy's writing, and so does Nicole. And so thank you for commenting about this particular book. And then Ruth has not heard of it, but oh, I've heard of it, but never read it. Okay, yeah, I recommend it. And Mary has heard of this one. Brittany, absolutely. I'm not sure if you're referencing the one that he just put out for students. Are you talking about, it's kind of a mini book for, I think it's called like A Student's Guide to Anxiety. If you are, I'm going to recommend that one on the upcoming Top 5 Friday because I went through it with my daughter, and I think it's great. Let me know, Brittany, comment again. Let me know if that's the one that you're talking about or if there was another one that you had mentioned. So I gave you the link to the book. I gave you the link to the free audio, Beautiful Words for Fearful People. Highly recommend. Put that on your radar to listen to today, even if you have the time. And let me just go ahead and recap real quickly. We've recommended 4 books so far. Trusting God by Jerry Bridges. Oh my word. A Holy Fear by Christina Fox. You have already gone to the bathroom. Anxiety, Knowing God's Peace by Paul Touches. Ed Welch, A Small Book for the Anxious Heart. And now we're bringing Lucy back. Lucy was here commenting, and she wants to see a kitty cam. I mean, in the future, if we get cats, then I will try to connect you with a kitty cam. But for now, you're going to have Clarabelle jumping on me as part of the entertainment for the broadcast. So this is the very last book I'm recommending today. It is called Help, I Get Panic Attacks by Lucy Ann Mall. And this is a mini book, even smaller, right? So maybe we kind of went in a reverse order. If you are really struggling with panic and to the where it's manifesting in anxiety attacks or panic attacks, this is where you would start. And maybe you would then work through backwards the 2 devotionals, A Holy Fear, Trusting God. So it just depends on where you're at in the spectrum. But this one would be great to stock at a church office, to just have some on hand. If you are in ministry or discipleship and you're seeing the fruit of a lot of what's been going on as a result of COVID and just 2020 and even the craziness of 2021, this resource is a wonderful one to recommend. Lucy is here. And so Lucy, I'm going to chat a bit about you. And Brittany says, I think in reference to the anxiety book from Ed Welch for kids, the children's picture book. Yes, that series is from New Growth Press. And they have a lot of different books that are for children that are incredible. And so you can definitely check those out. Ruth has read this particular book many times. And so what's great about Lucy's book is that it has lots of practical applications, right? So I like this mini book because it's small enough not to be overwhelming, yet meaty enough to be helpful. And I've actually written a Lifeline mini book. I've written Help, My Teen is Depressed. And then I have another one coming out this summer called Help, I've Been Diagnosed with a Mental Disorder. And there's 5 chapters in the very back of the book. There are recommended resources, personal application questions, and Lucy really, I'm talking on behalf of Lucy here, but Lucy writes from her own experience, again, of debilitating panic attacks and what it took to work through that. And then she offers even stories of others that she has counseled because she's active in biblical counseling. She counsels people from all around the world through virtual counseling. And so she shares stories of other people who have panic attacks manifest for a variety of different reasons. And so I recommend this one. Let me go ahead, and I've got a lot to share when it comes to Lucy's part. So let me first give you the link to Lucy's book, Help, I Get Panic Attacks. I did recently interview Lucy on the Hope and Help podcast. I'm putting that in the links there for you. Hope and Help for Panic Attacks with Lucy Ann Mall. That is a free resource you can stream today and get some hope and some help if that's something that you struggle with. I also want to let you know that she recently launched a Facebook group for women, so a women's Facebook group called Braver. And I don't have anything to do with the group, but it's a helpful resource, and that's what I'm all about, and it has to do with this book. So the Braver Facebook group, and of course Lucy can talk more to it, is for women who are trying to or desire to break free from cycles, and habitual worry, anxiety, and all that. So I put the link in the post, click on there and it will take you to where you can look at the description for the group. It's free to join. There are over 200 to over 250 women in there so far. It's an encouraging community based on what I've seen. I'm in it, and so I would recommend that to you. And Mary asked, I need to read this book. Can you find it on Amazon or through IBCD? You can get it on Amazon. I have the link here in the comments. You can click on it. It's $4.99. There's also a Kindle version available that you can get. For those who are not in the country, who are not outside of the continental US. And I've had people from Canada asking about mini books, and you can get the ebooks there because the paperback books in other countries are ridiculously expensive. So, but the ebooks are great. And let's see, I'm just looking back at the comments. I also want to let you know that the week after I released Lucy's podcast conversation, I hosted a Facebook Live. It's actually what kind of set off all these other Facebook Lives that I've done, called Diffusing a Panic Attack, Taking Thoughts Captive When Fear Strikes. And that particular broadcast was just me sharing a recent example of getting on an airplane, which is something when you watch the video replay, you'll really get a solid understanding of how much I despise going on airplanes. I don't volunteer to do it regularly or often. But you can check out that video replay I'm sharing about how the Lord really helped me to sit my butt on that plane and not get off of it and not have a panic attack, even though there were tears and clenched muscles and trembling. I still got where I needed to go. And so I talk about that. And so you are welcome to click on that link. That link also has the link to Lucy's podcast and also has the link to Lucy's mini book. So I've got Lucy's stuff all over the place on my website, a few different areas. And so Lucy wants you to know that Braver is for Christian women who want freedom from the cycle of fear to get their lives back. I knew you had a tagline for it and I just didn't have it memorized. So thank you for sharing that. And then Stephanie says, I will be watching. Yeah, so the podcast, the Hope and Now podcast are just audios. So you can stream those via your favorite podcast app, or you can listen online and access the show notes. All of those pages have links to the resources that I talk about with the authors and other helpful things as well. But then I have also some video content on my website. So I do a lot of multimedia stuff, and Diffusing a Panic Attack, Taking Thoughts Captive When Fear Strikes was a live video broadcast I did on Facebook that I repurposed for the blog. And so you are welcome to watch that replay and have all the access to the recommended resources that I share. You'll find, if you follow me long enough, that usually when there's a website page I'm posting, that the page in of itself, you could spend a weekend going through the resources that I include, just because I'm trying to point you in the right direction to get gospel hope and help for all different kinds of life's challenging problems. So we have gone through 5 recommendations. As I said, these are not the only books. These are not the only Christian books on anxiety. They're just the ones that I happen to love in the moment, and in 2 to 3 years, my recommendations may change, but based on what has helped and been personally beneficial to me, these are what I recommend. So I will just do one more quick run through, okay? Trusting God with Jerry Bridges, or by Jerry Bridges, A Holy Fear, by Christina Fox. And we have Anxiety, Knowing God's Peace by Paul Touches, a devotional, along with another devotional. This is from Ed Welch, A Small Book for the Anxious Heart. And then the last one I just recommended, Help, I Get Panic Attacks by Lucy Ann Mall. And all of those links to all of those books are in the video comments, okay? I'll also let you know that when these broadcasts are done, they get loaded up to YouTube, and then I create a page on my website, a blog post basically for the replay. So you can watch the replay on Facebook, but you can watch a clearer version of it, of the live stream recording on YouTube, embedded on my site, and on those posts have the links to all of the books. So if sometimes when you're searching through links and comments on videos, on lives, they sort it really funny and you can't really see where you're going and you can't get to what you're trying to get to. So I will have all of this on my website. It will probably take me till Monday to put it together. But the best way for you to get this content to where you're not having to go and search for it in all kinds of different places is actually to go to this brand new page I just set up. This is my 4th Top 5 Friday broadcast. And so I've created an official page for it on my website, christinemchapel.com/Top 5 Friday. If you go there after this broadcast, just wait because I'm not done. Don't go there yet. But when you go there, you can sign up to receive my weekly emails, which are, I call them weekly resource deliveries, right? So every week I'm sharing if I've got a new Hope and Help podcast, new books that have come out that I want to recommend, new videos, live broadcasts that I'm going to be sharing about. So that's the best way to stay in touch and know about the different resources I'm sharing, interviews, videos, recommendations. You go to that page, there's a spot where you can opt in to receive that information, and my subscribers will get notified when recordings are available. So you'll never have to go and look for one. You can just know you'll get it to your email and you can watch it. They'll also know first when new lives are scheduled. So you'll just be kept in the know constantly. But also, if you have been waiting this whole time to get the free download, it's at that web page. The link is not going to stay there long, but I want to encourage you, if you want to go grab it, I'm going to leave it up for probably an hour or so after this broadcast is done so that you can go to this website, click the link, and then you will see a button that says get the download. There's a worksheet that I'm talking about that I've created for you is called Engaging Anxious Thoughts Through Journaling, 21 Prompts to Pause Worry Ticker Tapes. That's available now at my website, christinemchapel.com/Top 5 Friday. So that particular page on my website not only has the download, not only has the way that you can sign up for my emails so that you can join me for more conversations in the future, but also has the last 3 videos of Top 5 Fridays that I've done. One on my favorite books on depression, another one, my favorite books on grief, and then the other one, my favorite books on one another ministry. And those are the topics I've done so far, and I have more scheduled in the future. But this is where you get all the Top 5 Friday content is at this page. So you're welcome to go ahead and get that information. And all of the blog posts, as I mentioned, for Top 5 Friday replays include all the links to the books, all the links to the recommended audios or podcasts that I share. So whatever is shared by me in this live broadcast, I put on the post so that people watching the replay can get that access that content. Now, the only caveat is that only the live viewers get the downloads, right? Because I'm going to take this worksheet download off in a couple hours, maybe, or an hour. But also only live viewers get to possibly win a giveaway. So let's go ahead and take a look at the comments. Ruth wants to recommend Lucy's group Braver. I recommended that. And that Facebook group for women is in the comments section. I want to, Brittany says, thank you, that this is helpful. Thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us today. And Dawn wants to say thank you for sharing so many resources. Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't consider myself an expert in much of anything, but I do like to point people to those who I feel like have a lot of wisdom to share and are very good at communicating that wisdom to people who need help. So that's what I'm trying to do. And Stephanie says, I'm currently reading Fearless in 21 Days by Sarah Ball, light but good read. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. And Nicole says, thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me today, Nicole. Lucy, thank you for stopping by. Everyone can see Lucy's face. She's very friendly. You can go join her Facebook group and get some encouragement. Even if you don't participate and post a lot, you may just receive encouragement from the other people who are sharing and the dialogues that are happening in that particular group. I want to let you know that I am going to be taking a break. We've built up all this momentum on Top 5 Friday, and then I have to take a break. But that's because I only want to do one live broadcast a week, and I have the next 2 weeks, I have 2 other broadcasts in relation to what I do at IBCD. And so, we have someone tuning in from Canada. I'm so thankful. That's awesome. It's such an encouragement. But I want to put these 2 other lives on your radar, even while I'm not doing Top 5 Fridays. If you are interested in soul care ministry, right? I have a live conversation that is airing on IBCD's Facebook page next Thursday. It's called Ask the Counselor. And the topic we're covering is starting a soul care ministry. And I've interviewed Jim Neuheiser and Scott Mell, who are both leaders, they're authors, but also leaders in the biblical counseling movement. And we have taken previously submitted audience questions on the topic of starting a soul care ministry or even just getting training in biblical counseling. And we address those questions. And so that video will be airing next Thursday. I don't have it. I should have pulled it up, but I don't have it here. But I will post that in the comments here in just a minute. There's a Facebook event for that particular broadcast. And then the following week, I think I have a Logos Bible training software for biblical counselors. So if you are in counseling or if you like Logos and you want to learn how to better utilize Logos software for counseling practice and study and reflection, all of that, you can stay tuned. If you subscribe to my emails, you'll be notified when those details come out. Here, hopefully next week, we'll have that firm down to be able to offer that to people to sign up. And so that's pretty much all I have for you this week. I'm going to stop the broadcast, but I am going to count who participated the most. Jennifer really likes Clarabelle, and she's sitting here right now. Oh, this microphone, sorry. Yes, you've been so patient. She's sniffing. So Clarabelle is a sheepadoodle, and she is 7 months old and really wants to go do something else besides sit in this room. And Jennifer follows Lucy on Instagram, and that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are connected. So I'm going to go back and count and see who the winner is for this week's stream, and then whoever is the winner, you can get to choose from the books that I've shared today. And so I still haven't decided. I'm going to go back and see if we've had enough engagement to maybe pick 2 winners. I will let you know. I'll comment and tag you. But that's how the giveaway works, is you get to choose from what I've shared. And so one of the winners will get this one because it's the one that I have, but then another winner or one winner will be able to pick a different one. So I won't take up any much more of your time, but I do want to just again encourage you. I'm going to post the link here. The new Top 5 Friday page on my website. The replay of this video will be on my website. I don't know if I'll have time to do it today, but I'll work really hard on getting it up soon. And you're welcome to share these videos with whoever you think it might be helpful. She's trying to escape. You can go back and watch the other videos that I've shared where we have people chiming in just like you guys have today, their feedback, book suggestions, what they liked about the different books that I've shared, and so really encouraging conversations. And then all those pages have links to more resources. So again, you could really spend a lot of time going through resources on these particular pages. And so get that download too. If you want to get those 21 prompts to pause worry ticker tapes, you got to get it, because I'm not always going to be offering that. In fact, I keep these printables as either exclusive gifts for my email subscribers, and I give them out periodically, or exclusive gifts for you, my live viewers, because gosh, you spent 45 minutes of your day sitting here talking about books with me. Like, that deserves a reward. So go to that Top 5 Friday link and you'll get everything you need to know. You'll be able to opt in to get email updates about upcoming broadcasts or podcasts that I have coming out. And I will tell you that you can look forward to my conversation with Christina Fox on her book, A Holy Fear. You saw that I also teased that I have Lauren Whitman coming on, A Painful Past, Healing and Moving Forward. It's backwards on the video, but that's all we have for today. So I won't be back for Top 5 Friday, I think the next 2 weeks, but then I will be the following week. So if you want to know what's next, and I even want to possibly tinker with having a guest person come on to Top 5 Friday for them to share their resources, and that would be really cool. We'll see if I can make it happen, but the best way to stay alert to those events is to sign up at the link right here, christinamchapel.com/Top 5 Friday, and it'll keep you posted on all the videos and everything we have going on. So I hope that was helpful today. Thank you so much for those who have engaged. You guys were great. a great, let me do my, let me see, hold on, I'm trying to give you, just a great. Thank you guys so much. We will see you very, very soon, and I'm going to go right now and count all the people who commented, and then I will declare a winner. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you very soon.